Factsverse presents. When they needed money for their wedding rings, they knew exactly what to do. A crime of passion doesn't happen for any good reason. People are driven by their emotions to do something crazy. It has nothing to do with logic or premeditation. There are times when your heart just overtakes your mind, and in 1 second you do something you can't come back from. CALLIE CARSWELL and her boyfriend Clarence William Moore III, they know about crimes of passion all too well. CALLIE Elizabeth Carswell grew up poor, so she was used to struggling financially. She fought hard to keep her head above water. At the age of 24, CALLIE knew that the only way to support herself was to go to work every day. She worked behind the counter at Big Danny's Mini Mart in Morganton, North Carolina. For 8 long hours every day, CALLIE worked the counter and stocked the shelves, and she did so for minimum wage. It wasn't the most glamorous job, but CALLIE was willing to work the 9-to-5 shift every day to support her 2 children. She was a single mother and had to do whatever it took to provide for her children. CALLIE didn't have much time for a social life, so when she found a chance for love, she jumped at it. Clarence William Moore III was 40 years old. He was 16 years older than CALLIE when the two met. Like CALLIE, Clarence was also from Morganton, North Carolina, and he too struggled financially. Unlike CALLIE, Clarence didn't want to work hard to have a better life. He'd rather go against the rules and just take whatever he wanted. Clarence was 6 foot 1 inch tall. He weighed 205 pounds. He had the record to back up his "I take what I want" attitude. Even though CALLIE did fall for Clarence quickly, he was far from being her Prince Charming. Clarence wasn't just a petty thief or a multiple DUI offender. CALLIE had no idea the man she was falling in love with was a felon, and he was on the North Carolina Sex Offender Registry. In 2002, he was convicted on second-degree sex offense and liberty with a minor, who happened to be a 13-year-old child. CALLIE thought that he was her dream man. He was, in fact, every mother's worst nightmare. When CALLIE met Clarence, she had no idea that she was welcoming a child molester into her life. Even worse, she had no idea that she was allowing a child molester into her children's home. CALLIE had no idea what she was getting herself into when she met and fell in love with Clarence. She was a lonely single mother, and she was just happy to fall in love, finally. The blissful beginning of their relationship showed no red flags to CALLIE. She had no idea what kind of danger she was actually putting herself into. CALLIE had been struggling for a while to care for her 2 children on her own. Clarence was her dream come true, or so she thought. Finally, she'd have the support of a partner that she needed and was always looking for. It didn't take CALLIE long to fall head over heels for Clarence, but she had no idea about Clarence's dark past at the time, or that he would destroy her life forever. CALLIE was deeply in love with Clarence. When Clarence asked her if she wanted to move in together, she didn't think twice about it. She said yes right away, not knowing the real person she'd be sharing a home with. She was just happy to have a partner in life. She agreed to move in with Clarence and was excited for a happy future together. When CALLIE and Clarence moved in, their relationship began to flourish. Things were going so well between the couple, right away Clarence got down on one knee and proposed to CALLIE. Not knowing anything about Clarence's dark past, CALLIE quickly said yes. Finally, in her mind, all of her dreams were coming true. CALLIE struggled to care for her children alone for quite some time, and finally now she was going to have a husband to help her care for the girls, to be there for her. It was everything CALLIE had ever hoped for. Even though CALLIE agreed to marry Clarence, he had not yet put a ring on her finger. He didn't have one during the proposal. He wanted to make it official, and he wanted to get an engagement ring to put on his future bride's finger. Now most guys, they would buy the ring before proposing, but since Clarence had no job and no job prospects, he couldn't afford a ring. And up until this point, he was living off of his fiancé's minimum wage job. He was low on cash. Clarence needed to find a way to buy CALLIE a ring. When CALLIE and Clarence got engaged, the minimum wage for the state of North Carolina was $7.25 per hour. After working 40 hours a week and deducting state and federal taxes, CALLIE brought home only around $544 per month. Since the average cost of renting a 2-bedroom apartment in North Carolina was over $900 a month, CALLIE could barely care for herself, let alone 2 children and a grown man. Rent wasn't CALLIE's only expense either. She had to buy food and clothing for her children, pay the utility bills, cover her family's health care costs, and any other bill that popped up. The fact that Clarence had no problem living off of his struggling girlfriend was despicable. This should have been an immediate red flag that this was not the guy for Callie. But sadly, she was blinded by love. The couple was always stressed because they couldn't figure out how to cover the cost of Callie's ring. Callie felt a bit better, though, when Clarence told her that he had a plan. His plan had to have caused Callie some serious stress, though. When Callie went to work at Big Daddy's in November 2019, she had no idea that it would be just another day. Instead, it was going to be the end of her life as she knew it. Callie was working on Monday night at Big Daddy's. She was doing her job until a masked man came in and robbed her with a sword. He put it in Callie's face and demanded all the money in the register. Callie didn't hesitate to comply. She handed the man $2,964 in cash from the register and the safe. The whole thing was caught on camera, and you could hear Callie begging for her life. She told the thief that she had kids and begged him not to hurt her. As soon as the masked man took off with the cash in hand, Callie grabbed the phone and called 911. She tried to keep her composure while she tried to recall every detail of the encounter. Callie hoped that after she gave her version of what happened in the store, she wouldn't have to deal with it again. What she didn't know then was that the whole thing was far from over. Callie was very visibly shaken. When the police questioned her about the incident, she was nervous and shaking. It was a traumatic ordeal that would probably be etched into Callie's mind forever, but it didn't happen that way. Callie didn't remember the details of any of it. She told the officers that the man's face was covered, so she didn't see him. What she did remember was that he took off in a gray Toyota Camry. The officers knew that people process trauma differently, but fortunately they had the security cameras to see what really happened. All it took was the security video and some investigative work by the police department to figure out everything that had happened. They quickly realized why Callie couldn't remember much about the robbery and why she gave in to the robber's demands so quickly. The robber was Callie's fiancé, Clarence. What the police now had to figure out was whether or not Callie was a willing participant or if she had no idea that it was her fiancé under that mask. The next day, Callie and Clarence went to Walmart where they purchased a flashy ring for Callie. Turned out that robbing Callie at sword point was the plan all along. Since she went with him to Walmart to choose the ring, it only made sense that she was in on the entire plan as well. When they needed money for their wedding rings, they knew exactly what to do. They turned to crime to get what they wanted. The couple was a modern-day Bonnie and Clyde, and they were sure that they had gotten away with it. Finally, standing in the jewelry section of Walmart, the couple had no idea that it would not only be where the victors got the spoils, but it would also be the moment that took the couple down. The police were skeptical about Callie's story, so they started looking into things a bit closer. After listening to the 911 call again, they felt that Callie's terror sounded rehearsed, and soon they put it all together. Callie was in on the crime, which only meant that the person who robbed the store had to be her fiancé, Clarence. The couple was arrested, and they were both booked into the Morganton PD. The police didn't have much trouble figuring out that it was Clarence in the video, and he quickly crumbled under pressure and admitted what he had done. Clarence was charged with armed robbery and sentenced to prison. Callie is still awaiting trial because she's claiming that she had nothing to do with it. Instead of walking down the aisle with Clarence, looks like they might be heading to jail together. Subscribe for more, and be sure to click that like button and the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos.